Hi, everyone, and welcome to Lurking for Legends, a live video cast where we do live reads with amazingly talented authors of all genres, which is actually going to be Richard tonight. I'm Christy Stratus, historical suspense and historical fantasy author, and my awesome co-hosts are epic fantasy author Richard H. Stevens, who will be reading tonight, and science fiction author David M. Kelly. Lurking for Legends is an interactive broadcast, and we encourage viewers to comment and ask us any questions you may have. So we actually did have a guest lined up for tonight, but we needed to reschedule him. So it's just going to be the three of us, and we are going to do a live read. But first, we're going to just update you all on what's going on in our author worlds and what's coming up for us. We're in like the last quarter of the year or so. So actually, why don't we start with Dave, if you don't mind? You just had an event, and like, what's going on with you, and what's up for the rest of the year?
Okay. Yeah, I just was at the well, book
Eden
festival in Eden Mills, and it's a very good event. Lots of people go there. Very popular with readers and authors of all kinds. It was a very nice event, very nice day, very busy. So that was very good. Other than that, well, I am continuing to work on the second Hyperion Jones novel. Things have got very strange in Hyperia's world.
Good. How it should be.
Which is kind of par for the course, really. And I am round about 2/3 of the way through editing my Joe Ballon prequel novella.
Very cool.
So hopefully that will be coming out in maybe a month or so. That's going to be released free through my website as a series of episodes for anybody to read. And also I'll be making it free to subscribers of my newsletter.
Nice.
As an ebook.
Cool. That's something to really look forward to.
Yeah, it's. I think it's quite fun. There's a lot of Ballon-esque, cynical humor in there, and quite a few dead bodies. So yeah,
always positive.
Oh, there's Margaret. Found you guys every time I panic.
Yeah, it goes to my page. I share it onto there. I'm just sharing it now, actually.
Yeah, unfortunately, StreamYard charges us if we do it on all of our accounts. So we've scaled back to my account, which isn't maybe the best idea, but I'm not sure what else to do. So we do share it on our channels after the fact, but you can't participate live. So unfortunately, you have to go through my Facebook account, and I probably don't get the same reach as Christy would. So
I don't know about that. I share it while it's live anyway. So
I tell you, I don't get much reach.
I usually share this, and I have to confess that this week I completely forgot.
I share it to a place called the Book Lounge, and I don't know whether we get any generic followers there. Again, the problem with doing the Facebook Lives is they basically have to be part of your page, I would think, or part of my page. I mean, to actually view it. I'm not sure what happens when they click interested or going, whether it just takes them there without them having to like my page. If that's the case, then that's great. If they have to like my page, that might deter them. So I'm not sure how.
Yeah, I don't know. If you say that you're interested in an event, I think it's supposed to tell you no matter what. But
that would be nice, yeah. That way it wouldn't weed out the people that want to get hooked up, yeah. So I'm just going to chime in, Christy, before you, because I happened to see the amazing science fiction author David M. Kelly at my event on Saturday. We had a guest appearance from a science fiction author. We were at the Fergus Steampunk Festival, the first one to be held in Fergus. It was the first annual, and it was a good event for me. And all of a sudden, Dave and his lovely wife showed up, and because they were down so they could do the Eden Mills Writers Festival the next day, so they popped in to see us. And I actually have it right here. I got my very own signed copy. I haven't shared it on my social media. I'll be doing that this week. But I can never say the name. Quagleson Storm. Is that right? What?
Quellention.
Like my tongue. You just broke it. broke my tongue.
Oh.
It's not that difficult. Come on.
Collection.
Collection.
I'm glad I don't have to say that. But anyway, I'm the proud owner of the book. So thanks, Dave, for dropping that off, and the lovely treats you gave us. CJ really enjoyed them. I had one, but I'm not into fancy chocolates. Christy would have liked them. They brought us this really fancy box of chocolates, and they were different colors and things. Yeah.
I noticed they didn't last very long, according to
No, they were
CJ's purse.
As soon as you guys turned your back and left us, they were gone. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I got to eat one, and that was it.
Most popular
Shepherd
thing.
just. But anyway, that's what's new with me as far as my writing goes. Not a lot's been going on in this book. I keep telling people it's going to be out at the end of the year, and I hope it is. But I've had a bunch of setbacks over the summer, so hopefully we can get it back on track as the fall hits.
Well, you didn't specify the year, so I mean.
No,
Say.
I said the end of this year when I speak to most people. So I've actually had people last week, 2 or 3 people saying, when's the book out? When's the book out? And I wanted to have it out for this weekend because this weekend I'm going to be at the Waterloo Medieval. It's called the Royal Fair, Waterloo Royal Fair. It's a medieval festival in Waterloo, Ontario. So if anyone is in Ontario or even the northern states along the border, you want to come up to an awesome medieval festival, come on up and see us. We're a couple hours from the U.S. border and have a lot of fun. So we'll be sending up there. I always post on my social media that the dragons are preparing to fly to such and such a place, and we keep them well fed so they don't snack on the children and people's pets. So we should have a lot of fun, and I really enjoy this. It's one of my biggest events because it's my genre, and that's a really cool thing about when you're selling books. If you can find an event that is your genre, you can do pretty well. So that's what's new with me. How about you, Christy?
Well, it's all to do with Prohibited Magic, which is on Kindle Vella and Patreon. So yeah, that is a good problem to have, isn't it, Margaret? Richard, you're lucky. That's great. They're waiting for your book. So yeah, to do with Prohibited Magic publishing on Kindle Vella in episodes and on Patreon. So episode 15 is what I'm writing now. I believe episode 11 is what just published most recently. So it's been going well. It's been going smoothly. I'm really enjoying writing it. I had said that book 1, which is going to be renamed, the series is going to be named Grimoire, Society of Dark Acts, and the first book is going to be renamed Grimoire Magic. So it'll be Grimoire Magic, Corrupted Magic, Prohibited Magic, and we'll keep going along those lines. And then, I had said something about hoping to publish the first book and maybe have the second one up for pre-order this year. I don't really know where this year went, honestly. I have no idea. It's September already. I had been very gung-ho on making a lot of the changes I wanted to make before I put it in paperback and ebook. But then I had a lot of busyness happen with my editing business. So I didn't have as much time to put into the first book as I wanted to. So it may have to be next year. Sorry. It just goes that way. Margaret says, do you have to go through a whole new set of ISBNs for new titles like that? So for Kindle Vella, I guess if it has an AISN. So I will have to buy ISBNs when I publish paperback, and the ebook will have Amazon. I can, buy for other platforms as well. So it only has an AISN. So I will have to buy the ISBNs. Yes. So I'm aiming for next year now, and I'm kind of like half beating myself up over not getting it out at the end of this year, but what can you do when things get busy and you just don't have the time? I don't want to release it like too early or something and not be able to put the effort in. So I had like a change list of all the things I want to change on book 1, and I've done a lot of it. So I've got a lot of it done, and I'm still working on the rest of it. You know what my hardest part of the hardest thing to remember in this series is people wearing hats. I can't get it into my head. I just can't. And it's terrible. Margaret says, what can you do when people want to pay you for edits? Also a good problem. Yes, Margaret, you're absolutely right. I'm not that's why I say I'm half beating myself up, because it's just frustrating to not get it out when I said I would. But at the same time, what are you going to do? It's all for positive reasons. I can't be that upset. So thanks, Margaret. Yeah, that's true. So that's what's going on with me. I'm betting that Prohibited Magic will finish up publishing Oh God, no, I didn't count the weeks. I can't say next year. I have no idea when it's going to finish. We're in episode 15. It's over 30,000 words. I still feel like we're sort of just getting going. So it's probably going to be another nice sized one, which is
becoming
exciting.
epic. I told you.
Yeah, very exciting. I never thought it would happen, but here we are.
So you brought up ISBNs. I was curious. I'm always jealous, actually, of U.S. authors because when I send my books to, well, anyone, our postal service is awful. They don't support their artists. Whereas the U.S., you have a media rate, and it costs about $3 to $5 to send a book.
Yeah,
but the one thing that they do support us is with ISBNs. I can use 1 billion ISBNs, and it doesn't cost me a nickel. So, I'm just curious, what does an ISBN cost a U.S. author? I know you can buy them in bundles, which must make them cheaper. But if I was to buy an ISBN for one book, what would that cost me?
It's a good question. I haven't bought one. I haven't even bought one since like 2017. I did buy a bundle of them, but I can't remember how much they cost. A lot of people buy from Bowker. So if you're ever interested in finding out, you can look there and see what they charge. Other people recommend other places, but it's the most popular. Yeah.
BOWKER, right, Bowker?
That's it. Yeah, yeah. And if you're going to be publishing a lot, like you said, you buy in a bundle and it's a little cheaper.
I think they're about $20 or $30, aren't they?
They're pretty expensive.
They're pretty expensive.
I can't remember.
Just to clarify, Margaret, I am not jealous of the Americans, the ISBNs. I am saying that's the one thing that's good about the Canadians is they support us with the ISBNs. But with regard to mailing books, it costs me $20 to mail a $20 book.
Oh, that is painful. Yeah, I know.
And if I want to mail it to the States, it's even more. So I always encourage people to buy, if they're going to buy a book from me through the mail, to at least buy a trilogy, because it's the first book that the most cost goes on to. And then there's maybe a couple more dollars and I get 2 more books in there. But
yeah,
Margaret says $125
for one.
That's right. For one. And then if you
Wow.
buy 10 of them through Bowker, I just found it. Thanks, Margaret. That was great. 10 through Bowker is $2.95, so it's like discounted, but it's expensive. Like
that is expensive. That's crazy.
Not surprised if it jumps again soon. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either.
So if you're going to get, so if I release a book in the U.S., I don't need one for an ebook, obviously, because it's ASIN. But if I'm releasing a hardcover and I'm releasing a paperback, that's going to cost me $250.
I believe so. Yeah.
Wow.
I believe so.
Maybe I'll stop whining about our media rate until I start selling enough.
Right? It's expensive.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. Very highly
commercialized. New series. I go right into my ISBNs and I will just start picking. I'll do ebook, paperback, hardcover, Audible, like audiobook. I'll go bang bang. I'll do all four for the whole series. So they're all sitting there, and then it says pending, like the date of release. It just said pending, and then when it's ready, I just flip over the date to today's date if I release it today. So, wow.
Yeah,
it's a whole thing. Yeah,
sorry.
go ahead.
No, go ahead, Christy. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say I seem to remember. Sorry if I'm wrong on this, but I seem to remember that you have to get it like all your information right the first time too. Otherwise, like it's tough to change it, or you have to get a new one or something. It's crazy. I don't know. What were you going to say, Dave?
No, I was just going back to Richard's point on the cost of postage here. One of my readers who lives fairly close to Richard, he wanted a copy of my latest book, and I've previously mailed them down to him, but it almost doubles the cost of the book. To send it, and he's still in the same province. He's only 4 hours away, kind of thing, and it's like the book's kind of like $20 and the postage is $20. So this time I actually I gave the copy to Richard to pass on to him, sort of thing.
And I'm only charging you 15.
So it's like postal rates in Canada are just really
they're hideous, absolutely.
Yeah. It's through the roof. I mean, to send up to you, it's expensive. It can be, I think the last time I sent it was like $22, but to send in the US, even the farthest location, I think is like, I don't know, $5, $6 was, and with a heavier book, But a lot of times for my types of books, it's more like $3.50 or something. So You know, they're slimmer, not the epic ones, the historical suspense.
Well, once I become famous, then I guess I can complain about our media rate. So you probably pay more in ISBNs than I do in postage. So I don't mail a lot of books. But so Anita, I posted this thing that Anita posted, that Anita suggested here. But I'm thinking that if the USBs are supplied by Amazon, then Amazon owns that ISBN, so you can't use it anywhere else.
Yeah, you can use the AISN only on Amazon, and then you buy the ISBN so that you can publish the paperback anywhere. For example. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that some people will buy their ISBNs through different book publishing companies, and they can only publish that book with that company.
Yeah.
Is that not correct? Like we don't have that problem because we just get our own off the Canada.ca website and we're golden. But with you guys, if you were to get one from, let's say, Ingram Spark, and they provided you the ISBN, that book is exclusive to the ISBN, at least that edition. Is that not right? If you wanted to go somewhere else, you'd have to, like, if you wanted to publish again on Amazon, you'd have to use a different ISBN.
I'm not sure about that because Ingram Spark, I believe, goes to Amazon. So I'm not sure.
But not splitting hairs. But if they were totally two different companies,
it might be.
I can use one ISBN for one paperback, and they can publish it anywhere.
Yeah. It might be. Yeah. I'm not like a super expert on. I only bought one ISBN for the paperback last time and could sell it anywhere. But I didn't go through a company like that. I went through just Bowker, and I didn't publish through Ingram Spark.
Okay,
I think that does change things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it requires you to supply your own. Yeah.
So I see. Okay, so then there's not an issue then. Okay, awesome. Yeah. So anyway, before we get to my library, we were supposed to have Russell Trimble on here, and he couldn't make it. I just want to give a shout out to Russell. He's not feeling well. He's going through a series of migraines and stuff. He's got some health issues, and but if anyone was here last month, Russell's the guy that gave me the confidence to actually come online and actually speak to anyone, because I'm a wallflower. When we do go to parties, I'm the guy in the corner that doesn't say anything to anyone. I don't enjoy being in a social limelight. I do okay at book events, but it took me a bit to get used to that. Dave helped me through that. I remember doing the first event up at the Graphicon with Dave, and I got to watch Dave in action, and I just had two little novellas there, and I remember just sitting there kind of twiddling my thumbs and looking over at them and watching them sign books. And I just hope someone buys one of my books. And someone came up to me and said, "So what's your book about?" And I just looked at him like he was an alien, and I just handed my book and said, I didn't know what to do. Say. I've gotten a lot better at that because I've done so many book events. But if it wasn't for Russell, I would never be doing this. He used to do live reads. He still does. And I feel like I'm going to do that too. And that's how I met Christy as well. So without Russell, I wouldn't have met Christy. And that's how we got involved in doing this Lurking for Legends. We're into almost our third year now. So that's amazing. We're two and some years. I guess we're almost to complete 3 years. So
wow, yeah.
He was supposed to be our guest. He's not here today. So at some point you're just going to have to sit through my reading. And we're all looking forward to David's costume. But before we get on to that, I just want to go ask you guys, what's your plan? So, Christy, what's your plan with your writing now? I know you're an editor and all that, but on the writing side, what is your plan with your series, and what have you got coming up next? Do you have some kind of timeline with what you want to do? I'm just interested in how you vision the future of your Dark Grimoire series and anything else that's coming down the pipe.
Yeah, that's a great question, because it's very much by the seat of my pants, because I'm a pantser, and so I never really know how many books there will be. So this is, I have 3 books now. I'm working on the third one, part of the way through it. Like I said, over 30,000 words. So I have a feeling it's going to be another big one. And then I know there will be a 4th book for sure. I kind of envision it as 5, but I can't say definitely until I've written it. I'm kind of seeing the benefit of, what people say when they say, write a whole series before you publish it. I'm sort of seeing the benefit of not having put it in paperback yet, because in this 3rd book, actually we had voting for the Ruin Rats leader's name in my Facebook group, which is Christy Stratus's Victorian Darklings, and we vote on a lot of stuff there if you want to join it.
Right, no, Dave didn't make it.
Chaos Rhino was in the running.
That's it. Chaos Rhino.
So yeah, the name that won was Benjamin Bostwick, and it was really funny because once that name was picked, we always love a
He's
good
not
chaos.
very happy.
You've been the leader of your group.
Yeah, who else looks like a leader? He says.
That looks like a leader of a notorious Victorian group. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So once the name was chosen by everyone, it really came to me like what his whole goal was, and now I need to go back into books 1 and 2 and plant seeds and stuff. So I'm kind of glad that I had to wait in a way. So I think it's been about a book a year, I want to say, because I had my 2-year Veliversary this year, and I'm already on the 3rd book. So it's like, I don't know, a book and a half, something like that a year. And I'm just going to keep going that way until.
That's still good progress.
I think so. I mean, for me, it takes me a while, a lot of times, to write the book and then edit it and then get all the stuff together with the cover and all that. So for me, that's really, really good. It's keeping me on point there. So however long that takes, maybe a couple years from now, it will be done completely, the series, maybe a little bit less than that. We'll have to see. But after that, what I really would like to do is, and I keep thinking about it, is I've always promised the 3rd book in the Dark Victoriana collection, and it has never happened because the main character won't cooperate with me. And it's really nothing more than that. I wrote a ton of that book, a good amount of that book, and had to delete most of it because it's not working, and the guy isn't who he's supposed to be. So I'm trying a couple different ways that he's kind of, his personality. It's a character is Timothy from book 2. For those of you who have read it, Brotherhood of Secrets. And the problem is that he starts out as a young teenager, and in the 2nd book, we skip ahead 10 years. And so I seem to be having trouble for some reason, really grasping his character 10 years later. And everything I write seems to be wrong. So I'm trying out a completely different thing now, and we'll see how that works. But that's kind of I guess you could say that's about maybe like a 3-year plan at the moment, something like that. So it's kind of where I'm headed. And like I said, I want to publish the paperbacks and the ebooks and maybe even hardcover for this historical fantasy. It means a lot to me. So it's coming.
I find it interesting when you say you're publishing a book or a book and a half a year. And, as indie authors, we think, I'd like to write more. And you see all these different people who are just pumping books out. I don't know how they do it, but we're not going to get into that. But I remember when I was younger, before I even published books, I remember we didn't have the internet and all that. And I was waiting for Robert Jordan to come out with his next book. Mm-hmm. So you read The Wheel of Time, and then you wait for The Great Hunt. And, 2 or 3 years later, The Great Hunt comes out.
Yeah.
And then you wait 2 or 3 more years, and then the next book comes out. And I know there's things that they have to do in the traditional publishing world where, they don't just write the book, edit, and, throw it on the bookshelf, where as indie authors, we can do that.
Yeah.
And, sometimes some of the editing gets put aside, which is unfortunate. But even if we do it properly, we can do it a lot faster. And people say, well, you publish a lot of books. And I said, well, I don't have to do the things that the traditional going through the traditional publishing route, where I got to wait for this, I got to wait for that. If Del Rey came to me and said, here's $500,000 to do it, by all means, it'll take me.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. But that's not a reality. So the nice thing about being an indie author is you can put them out fairly quickly.
That's absolutely true. Yeah, it's a benefit for sure.
I just want to put a couple things
That's one of the reasons I saw somewhere. That was one of the reasons why Stephen King were under pseudonyms, because his publisher wouldn't publish more than 1 book of his per year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really? Wow. I don't think I knew that. No. That's interesting.
Yeah, that was
the marketing and taking advantage of
I guess, yeah.
We don't have to worry about it because we don't sell that many books.
No.
So I just want to put a couple things before it gets lost. Margaret was saying, if you have a paperback in English, you can enjoy ISBNs from Bucker. You can listen to paperback in Amazon and ISBN. So this is just for any authors that are wondering about that question. It's better now just fill through Ingram and miss out on likes, in her opinion. And then she goes on to say that, she's asking you, have you found any success with a frustrating book character by going on a writing retreat? And it sounds like she might be going on a writing retreat because she's hoping you're going to give her the answer she wants to hear.
I've never been on a writing retreat, so I could not tell you, unfortunately.
I've thought about it.
Yeah, I've thought about it. I just
I
never
think it'd be
have
really
yet.
cool. I'm just too cheap to pay the price that they want for these things.
Yeah, I think I would be distracted, honestly, because I'd be like, I'm on vacation, I'm in a new place, I want to look all around and do things, you know. But
I've been
it's
doing
kind
cannonballs in the hot tub when they're trying to concentrate. Yeah, it wouldn't be good.
of, yeah, right.
Yeah.
You know, I've heard that, you know, for some people, getting away like that, Margaret, really breaks whatever stagnation you might have wherever you're writing normally, and it definitely works for some people. For me, like, this is the toughest block type of thing, which I don't really believe in writer's block. It just means that I'm not hitting it right. Something is off, you know, something is off in it. But this is the toughest one I've ever had. Usually if I just kind of decide I'm just going to write whatever and I start typing garbage, you know,
This is book 3, though, right?
it will flow. It will start coming to me and it will work. But it's something about this gap that's doing
But
it.
it's also book 3, right?
It's book 3. Yeah. It's
I find that's book 3 syndrome.
Oh, do you? Oh, I feel better. Oh.
Yeah, no, absolutely, because you've done so much with those characters and they've evolved so much. Like when you write a new character, there's so much to write about because there's so much to discover with that new character, especially as a pantser. You have no idea what that character is about. You don't know his mannerisms, and you discover all those things as you're writing that first book. And it's almost like going out on a first date, and you know the dating process where you're finding out about your new partner, and it's so exciting. And after book 1 and book 2, you know, all of a sudden you start getting old, stale, and by the time you hit book 3, it almost seems like that muse isn't there anymore. Now you're just trying to get the story done. I find it can be a slog getting through that 3rd book for sure.
That's a relief, actually.
I've never been on a writing retreat. I actually find that the best way, if I'm struggling with a book, like with writing a story in my way, I actually find that the most effective thing I can do is start writing another one, and then I realize what the hell was wrong with the one I was on.
Yeah, maybe I just need to step away and see. I'm a sucker that I need to finish it. Like I'm not going to George R. Martin, and I'm going to finish it.
Yeah.
Try to get to the end of it before I start the next one. I've got 20 books in my head that I want to fill the gaps in my timeline, but I won't jump into those until I'm finished with it. And maybe I should just maybe do a chapter or 2 on a new story just to freshen up my mind for the old story. It's not a bad idea.
Yeah, it's like your brain kind of like switches away, and your subconscious starts working in the background and processing things, and it's like I find that actually is really good for getting me. I was struggling a little bit with the 2nd book of Hyperia for a little while, and so I started working on another project that I've got planned for after that. And as soon as I started working on that, it's like a few days later, it's like, that's what I need to do.
Yeah.
On Hyperia. It's like,
well, speaking of which, Dave, so let's get into you then. What's new and what's coming up with like you? Like, what are your plans going forward? You're working on a 2nd Hyperia. Now we got this title here. Then now that this one's done, so where's this one going? I know you have a Joe Ballin sequel coming.
Yeah, I got the prequel actually, but I've got that one coming out fairly soon, and just finishing off the editing on that. After that, I've got another series planned, which will be in the same universe as the Joe Ballin books and the Logan Two Feathers books, but it's kind of like further into the future. And sorry, I'm just reading.
Oh, sorry, Dave. I don't mean to cut you off. I'm just trying to.
It's all right. No. I was just reading Anita's post there about poisoning.
Yeah, I'll phone the police on the side here.
It's in the same kind of universe. That universe is one that I've got planned for kind of like extended storytelling. And so the next series I've got planned to release, which hopefully I'll have the first book of that out next year, is going to be set about 150, 170 years ahead of the Joe Ballin stories. and this is when kind of like humans have kind of like gone out and populated the universe much wider than Earth itself. But I've still got the political factions and the hostility between them. So you've got like the Earth kind of alliance, and then you've got like the what I call the corporates, which are kind of like these business-run worlds. And so that, as I say, I'm planning to start work on that. Well, I've started some work on that, and I kind of know where I'm going and where I'm starting, and not much else. Kiss. That's the way I work.
Yeah.
You know.
Surprise, yeah.
But I think it's going to be good. It's going to be. It's going to have a little bit more of a military edge to it. So that's going to be a slightly different take for me. But it'll still have the same kind of classic sort of David M. Kelly sort of like snark and so on, you know, and lots of action. I've got the actual galaxy planned out sort of thing in my 3D star mapping software, and it's quite interesting because like the actual, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but the actual kind of story world is going to be set in what is called the Ballanverse, which basically is which is basically a volume of space centered around Earth, 50 light years in radius. And basically, because of Mr. Ballan, humans are confined to that 50 light year sphere. And so they only have the resources that are kind of like within that sphere. Which they're not too happy about because there's not that many habitable planets, although there are plenty of non-habitable planets. But yeah, so it's going to be an interesting setting, I think.
Cool.
Nice.
That's great.
So just before we get going, I think we should jump into our library in a minute. So Dave, if you want to take your moment now to get yourself ready. I'll get on a little bit about what's going on with me, and then we'll set her up. So you go ahead and get yourself ready if you want.
And mute in case you need to. Oh,
yeah.
He's gone.
I knew he was going to do that. He's going to go off screen. At least he knew what I did and stick a sticky there and lose it. But so the Soulforge universe, it was only supposed to 3 books, and then when the dragon came in the end of book 3, it opened up my whole universe for me. I went back in time 500 years. And I mentioned an elf queen who was 700 years old at the time in that series. So I've gone back in time 700 years from there. I keep going backwards, and there's great big gaps now. And with any kind of fantasy, it's so much lore in your head. So every time I write a fantasy book, I generally have 2 more in my head by the time I'm done. So that's, it's going to take a while to finish this. Hopefully I live longer than my father did, so I have a chance to get it done. But yeah. But so the nice thing about mine is done. The last trilogy is the first one I wrote. So if anyone ever jumps into the Soulforge universe, the last book is already written. They just have to read up through it. But what I want to do is chronologically go forward from book 1 to the end now. And so once I finish this series, I'm supposed to do research trip to the British Isles. It didn't happen because of COVID. I think I'm just going to jump into it without doing it. I've done a lot of research on the side. I'd love to go to British Isles, but I don't think that's a reality for me right now. So I'm going to start book 1 in the Soulforge universe, and it's going to take place on Earth. So hopefully that will be coming out next year, and it'll be a shorter book than what I've been writing lately. So hopefully I'll be able to get that one and one more written next year. And so anyone jumping into Soulforge universe from that point on will hopefully be able to read forward with me instead of I've taken my readers forward and backwards and in between, and it's sometimes at book events I confuse the heck out of them when they say, "Oh, what's to write first? What's the chronological order?" Blah blah blah. But so. Anyway, that's what's new with me. And When Legends Rise, which is book 4 in the Highcliffe Guardian series, is one I'm writing now, the ones that people keep asking about. My plan is to have it out at the end of this year. realistically, it's probably going to be January at the earliest. But I'm not in a rush because all my book events will be done by Christmas time, and I don't start a new book event probably till April or May. So I know I have a few readers that want it before then, but I'm not going to rush it. So hopefully it'll be out around January. I've had a couple things come up, and I won't get into it, but yeah, it's been a tough summer. But yeah, so hopefully we'll get back on track now, and we'll go forward from this point. And I just want to say a couple more things from Margaret here. Almost finished.
I haven't read that one, but I've heard from like everyone that it's really good. I should really read it.
Oh, look who's here. Now, I'm not sure if he wants me to bring him in or not. I'm going to unmute him and just ask him. No? Okay, he's putting thumbs up. All right, here we go. Holy.
All right.
You're muted, Dave.
Talk yourself.
I don't know if you can even see her.
That is outstanding.
There you are. That's awesome.
Oh my goodness.
Can you actually see her screen?
Yeah.
You know what you're going to be doing around Christmas time? You're going to be putting a red suit on and sitting in the mall.
Mm.
Or you're
Yeah, I
going
was
to be
thinking of that.
more like Bad Santa, I think.
I could do with the extra cash.
Now, Christy, you and Dave just keep talking for a minute. I'm just going to put my little thing on. It's not going to be that elaborate, but I'll be back in just 1 second.
Dave, I love your hair. Who does your hair? I need this.
Bingo.
What did you say?
Bingo.
Bingo does your hair.
Yeah, I actually made all of this from his coat. It's like he's molting, and so yeah. Oh, sorry, Bingo. I didn't mean to call you.
Oh, now he's all excited.
He heard me say his name, so he came.
No, that is really fantastic. Is that excuse me? Is that paper that you have under there, or what is that?
It's hair.
It is hair.
Yeah, well, it's plastic.
Okay.
Plastic hair.
Plastic. Okay, I gotcha. That looks really good. You look like you need a staff.
Yeah, actually, I should have a staff, and I forgot to get one.
Man, that's fantastic. Can't really beat that. Although Chaos Rhino is a close second.
Mm. Yeah. Oh. The boss is back.
Everyone has beards. I'm almost jealous.
Okay, Christy, let's see your beard.
I need to get a beard. Oh my goodness. So watch out.
Okay, so we are going to be reading today an excerpt from Wizard of the North. And this is the second book of my series, my original series. And this is the book that I had no idea where it was going. In 1982, when I thought of Soul Forge, I knew it was going to be 3 books, and I knew the beginning, and I knew the ending. Battle of the Beards, yes.
Battle of the Beards.
I did not know where book 2 was going. And it was originally going to be called The 13 Eyes of Helidin. But I didn't know how to fill it. And when I sent the artwork or the ideas for the artwork to my cover, put it in his hand, and he was never supposed to have a staff in his hand. He was never supposed to be a wizard. And I said, Marco, what are you doing? There's no staff in his hand. He said, I thought he was a wizard because I described him just like Dave looks. Dave looks like Alhina. And I thought about it for a couple of days, and all of a sudden I said, Marco, that's brilliant. Leave it in there because that idea filled in book 2. And my whole thing took off. And because of that, the Soul Forge universe was born. And we've gone back in time. And I truly believe that these 20 to 30 books all came because of that artist's mistake in book 1. And so it's really, really neat how things happen. But so we're going to be reading from book 2, which is Wizard of the North. And I'm just going to set it up for you. So the cast of characters, David is playing Alhina. He's a senior messenger to the Chamber of the Wise. He's an aged man of the world with long white hair, long white beard, white pupilless eyes. He carries a tall staff. Now, Dave's got his staff set aside so he doesn't break his computer. Dave is also going to fill in and play Pollard. So Pollard does not look like that, but that's okay. We'll forgive you, Dave, because you weren't supposed to originally play Pollard. Our guest was. So Pollard is the third in command of the Songsberthian Guard. He's a dignified half giant with short red hair, and he wields a double-bladed broadsword. If you ever met this man, he's a beast. He's a half giant, and his sword is taller than I am, and there's two blades that come out of the hilt. He's something else. Christy is going to be playing a real short character here, Longsight. He's a sailor in the Crow's Nest aboard the Gerrymander. I think he gets 1 or 2 lines. She's also going to be playing another sailor on the rail. He's a random sailor in the scene. He's horrified by what they're seeing as a ship pulls into the harbor. She's also going to be playing one of my favorite characters of all my books, Sagira. Sagira is an archer with the Songsberthian Guard. She has auburn hair, freckles, slate gray archer's cap. She's mischievous and she's very cheeky. And Christy's also going to play Captain
Just
Thor.
like Christy.
So this is where you should have a little goatee, Christy. Captain Thor, captain of the ocean-going vessel Gerrymander, well-kept, short black hair, well-mannered. And then I'm going to be playing Rook. He's a former leader of the Group of 5. If anyone's seen my Soulforge cover, he's
Perfect.
on. I'm also going to be playing Olmar, and that is the one that Russell Trimble was supposed to play. He does live reads, and he loves reading Olmar, and he does that character very well. So if I ever cast Olmar, I'll cast him as the voice anyway. So Olmar is the helmsman aboard the ocean-going vessel Gerrymander. He's a simple half-giant with red hair and beard. He's got slumped shoulders. He wields a massive warhammer, and he's got to be one of my favorite characters, too, of all my books. He's a very simple man. He's huge. He's just a kind of – dummy's not a nice term. It's not a nice way to describe him, but as an author, I should have a better way to describe him. But right now, I'm at a loss. But he's just very simple, but he's probably the wisest man in this series. He's just down to earth. He's just so commonsensical, and that's brought out in the narration. And I'm also going to be the narrator. So I'm doing a little bit more than I thought I was going to because we lost our guest. So the scene set up, this extra is taken from the beginning chapters of Wizard of the North. And I'll start at the ill-fated quest to the Underrealm is attempted. So this is kind of a synopsis of book 1. It's attempting a return to port. It had weighed anchor in many months before aboard the ocean-going brig Gerrymander. Still not certain they're following the right heading as they were transported via mysterious portal when Slurian destroyed Iconoclast Spire at the end of book 1, Soulforge. The crew and the quest members alike are apprehensive about what they're returning to. So you guys let me know when you're ready and we'll take her off.
I'm ready.
All set.
All right. Alhena Cyrus stepped on the Gerrymander's foredeck, using a walking staff to balance himself against the roll of the ship. He found Pollard Bainbridge exactly where he had left him yesterday, leaning against the ship's forward rail, the dejected Songsberthian oblivious to the spray washing over the deck as the bow cut through heavy seas. Sidling up to Pollard, Alhena rests his elbows on the wet rail, respecting Pollard's silence. The half-giant blamed himself for Slurian Mataka's death. He had stood on the banks of the Mystic River and almost single-handedly kept the demon army at bay with his massive two-bladed sword, providing Slurian the time he required to immerse himself in a suicidal battle with forces far beyond the realm of normal men. In the end, Slurian had succumbed to the river's pull and was lost. In the uneasy silence, Alhena leaned over the rail, but whatever the Songsberthian was staring at was a mystery. Pollard suddenly stood up straight.
Do you see that?
Alhena jumped with a start.
Smoke stretching as far as the eye can see.
Pollard continued. He stepped away from the rail and bounded toward the quarterdeck.
Come on, old man. Let's see what the captain thinks.
Alhena struggled to keep up to Pollard's long strides, his staff clumping the cadence of his quickened gait. He looked over his shoulder once more, but still only saw the horizon. By the time he reached the helm's deck, set high above the rest of the ship's surfaces, Pollard had already engaged Captain Thor and the bandy-legged helmsman Olmar in conversation. Olmar was the only man Alhena knew to surpass Pollard in height. Thor's tone did not bode well.
If we were transported back to the side of the portal, our course suggests the smoke can only be coming from one place, Zephyr.
Pollard's brows knit together.
Then we strayed off course. There can't be any active volcanoes near Madrigal Bay.
Thor threw his hands up, but it was Olmar who spoke. Nay, if we've been set right, I knows me course. That's the spine of Madrigal, or I'm a creative Corson.
Land ho!
Came a cry from the crow's nest. Thor called up to the sailor, Longsight.
Can you make out where?
A long while elapsed before Longsight replied,
Aye, 'tis the bay that's smoking.
I dinna like it, Captain, Olmar said, knuckles white upon the wheel. Thor blew out a long breath and nodded, jumping into action.
Man the oars! Ready the ballista!
Running to the top of the port side staircase, he commanded.
Arm yourselves! Madrigal Bay is under attack.
As Gerrymander plowed through the waves, it became apparent to Alina that the entire horizon was shrouded in black smoke. Been attacked more like, he muttered to Pollard. Oh, sorry. That's your line there, Alina.
Thank you. Being attacked more like,
he muttered to Pollard.
And razed to the ground.
And then there's a break in the action, and so the Ocean Golden vessel Gerrymander, it slips into the harbor of Madrigal Bay, and so there's a bit of a time break here. And we continue. One of the sailors on the rail commented on the state of the great city rising up on the shores around them.
Maybe they got away. I don't see no boats.
The boats are there.
Pollard's voice killed any optimism the sailor attempted to evoke.
Look beneath the waves.
The sailor frowned until realization set in. He swallowed hard. As Gerrymander slid into the harbor, Pollard's revelation proved true. Ghostly hulks of large ships could be seen beneath the water's surface. Spars and yardarms protruded from the gently rolling water, some displaying the tattered remnants of burnt sailcloth. A female sailor's shrill scream sounded on Pollard's right. Everybody could. The man in charge of the ballista almost pulled the release lever and put a hole in the foredeck. The sound of retching followed the scream as a bloated white corpse, entangled in the loose rigging of a submerged yardarm, bobbed to the surface of the water. The only sound in the harbor, other than the rhythmic slapping of the waves on the shoreline, were the cries of carrion birds circling overhead. Pollard searched the mountains surrounding the burnt-out city. Come sundown, anyone still alive within the city would have far bigger problems to worry about. So then just a narrator's voice here. They put into dock and discover a few survivors living amongst the destroyed ruins of the once great city. Realizing the need to learn the fate of the rest of the kingdom, several members of the ill-fated Quest to Soul Forge decide to embark on an inland journey and begin to say their farewells. Stepping back, Alina waited for Thor to say goodbye to Wolmar.
Take care of them, Olmar, like you do Gerrymander. You'll be sorely missed, my plinth of a friend. Your road is sure to be fraught with peril.
Ark! Olmar said, slapping the captain on the back, nearly knocking him off his feet. They'll never get by Olmar, Captain. Thor caught himself and looked up at his giant helmsman.
Woe betide anyone foolish enough to try.
Olmar slapped him again.
Alhina, my good friend.
Thor turned to clasp his hand.
We've known each other for less than 2 months, yet it feels like a lifetime.
Alina leaned on his staff.
Aye, close relationships are forged fast in desperate times.
It's been an honor sailing with you, kind sir. If it pleases you, give my regards to Vice Chambermaster Solomon. He and I were once great mates, if you can believe that.
Alina inclined his head.
Is that so? And what happened to change that?
Lugubrious happened. I was sent to help rebuild Zephyr's fleet, while good old Solomon, being as smart as he is, took up with the chamber.
Interesting indeed.
Alina replied. Olmar swaggered over and slapped Alina on the back. It was all that Alina could do not to yelp. The bay's in good hands with Captain Thor around. The city's safer in a Lions Cup, and that's sure. Alina staggered forward a step. He ran his tongue along his teeth to ensure none were loose.
Easy, Olmar.
Thor cautioned his eccentric first mate.
You forget your strength.
The captain pulled Alina in for an embrace and whispered,
Be careful, my friend. I hear things aren't as they seem in the chamber these days.
Alina broke the embrace, but kept his voice low.
Aye, who told you?
Thor hesitated before answering.
The innovator, if you can believe that.
Averick? Really?
Aye. He also told me about your recent fallout with the chamber. I believe he was concerned about how the chamber master would receive you should we make it back.
Alina raised his eyebrows, wondering whether Averick had told the captain how they had deceived Baron Lichman into ordering the gerrymander to assist the quest.
There was more to that man than he let on.
Omar folded his arms and nodded his agreement. The art of a tiger, that one.
Aye, a real terror in his day. But something happened to him during his time with Silurian. In the end, he turned out okay.
At the mention of Silurian, everyone fell quiet, until Pollard traipsed up with Sadira and Yarstaff in tow. Hair pulled back tight and tucked beneath her slate-gray suede archer's cap, Sadira curtsied.
I'm ready, Master Cirrus.
Alina smiled at the pretty young girl with many freckles.
You can just call me Alina. Any luck with the horses?
Her smile faded.
No, Master Cirrus. There are none to spare.
Alhina.
He corrected her.
Alas, it is as we thought.
Sadira offered him a sly smile.
Aye, Master Cirrus.
Flustered, Alina said to the captain.
Well, I guess this is it. May God be with you, Captain.
Aye, if he can spare the time. I'm thinking he has more pressing matters to attend at the moment.
Thor embraced Alina again.
Keep your eyes open, my friend. These are strange times. Be sure to look after the lug.
The captain's eyes indicated his bandy-legged helmsman. Alina spit out a laugh.
I do not believe I need to worry about Omar. I will be hard-pressed protecting them from him.
Rook's voice startled him as he watched the captain make his way back to an awaiting skiff. Sadira tells me they can't spare horses, even for one as aged as you. Alina scowled at Rook, but saw the mischief in his eyes. Have you decided your route?
Aye, knowing how Silurian and Averick's trip over Twitch's Gorge went, I dare say we shall take the inland route. Cut down the Meuse and over.
Excellent. Then we travel together for a while, Rook said. At least until the fork. Perhaps we'll find mounts there. Are there any boats to be had?
Sunak, sunk, every last one.
Pollard interjected.
We wouldn't be able to get them past the Rivergate Bridge in any event.
Rook eyed the broken span clogging the mouth of the river. Good point. He turned his gaze skyward. Well then, good messenger, it's an excellent day for a walk. Then there's a bit of a break in here. There's a chapter break. And Rook, Alina, Yarstaff, Pollard, Sadira, and Almar set off across the mountainous countryside. Following the trail along the southern bank of the mighty Madrigal River, the small company made their way east into the mountains. Several times over the next few days, the path lifted into the heights, circumventing unpassable frothy chasms. They ascended one of these stretches now into the afternoon sun. Pollard in the lead, he smiled over his shoulder at his companions.
We should see the valley over the next rise.
Sure enough, rounding a bend, the trail peaked. They stopped to take in the view. Pollard's shoulders slumped and his mouth dropped open. He had made this trek several times, and on each occasion he relished the moment the lush lands of Zephyr appeared below, brilliant golden hues of farmland stretching on forever. The rich blue of the Madrigal cutting a jagged line through vibrant green pastures, the fields dotted by solitary tors rising majestically above the rich tapestry. Despite his faint hope that the area had escaped the sorcerer's wrath, the land ahead spread dull and black, clear to the horizon. Even the Madrigal appeared gray and lifeless below them, a reflection of the devastation.
May God have mercy on their souls,
Alina whispered. Withdrawing his massive two-bladed weapon, Pollard rushed down the hill. The Fork was the largest town between Madrigal Bay and Millsford. If it had suffered the same damage as Madrigal Bay, he feared over 3,000 people may have lost their lives.
Pollard, it's too late.
Sadira called after him.
You never know.
His booming voice came back. The others looked at Sadira. She shook her head.
The Fork is 2 days from here. He probably means to run the entire way. What an oaf.
Together they tromped after him. Then there's a chapter break, so the companions gather in the center of the burnt-out village known as the Fork after searching for survivors. A day and a half later, Pollard stood in the Fork town center, sword loosely in hand, staring at the stone well, the only structure left unscathed, other than the stench of rotting corpses. There was no trace of the town's inhabitants. Alhina, Yarstaff, and Rook stood with him, watching Sidira and Omar approach from the eastern part of the city. The female archer, clothing dark with sweat and hair disheveled and sprinkled with ash, walked up to the well with a resigned look on her face.
No one alive that way. I gather the same holds true in every quarter.
Pollard stared at the ground, chewing on his lips in a futile attempt to keep his emotions in check. A tear rolled down his cheek. Rook muttered, "Not a soul." Sidira stepped beside Pollard, throwing an arm around his lower back.
Come on, big guy. That's not all bad. There's signs of a mass migration along West Castle Road. If I had to guess, I'd say the survivors made their way toward the king.
Pollard sniffed.
What about the bodies? You can't just leave them like this.
Sidira gave the others a sad smile.
There's nothing here for us but death and disease. It'll take too much time to gather all the bodies and burn them. If you want to help, you must get Rook to King Malcolm.
She looked at Omar.
Midge and I will see Alhina to the chamber. We can't undo what's been done, but together we might have a say in what's to come.
The big man's shoulders straightened. Just a bit.
Come on, you big softy. Get your arse moving. Don't keep the king waiting.
She winked and smiled up at him.
And guess what?
Pollard gave her a quizzical stare. She waved a hand in front of her face and turned up her nose.
The bridge to West Castle Road is out, which is a good thing. It's high time you had a bath.
Pollard sheathed his sword, his eyes moist and red. He tried to smile, but it wouldn't come. On top of everything else they had witnessed today, Sidira knew Pollard hated goodbyes. "You still traveling west of the Mews?" Rook asked Alhina. Alhina nodded.
Sidira wishes to follow Millsford Road. We will stop by Splendor Falls to inform Master Paul. From there, it's an easy jaunt down the old Grittian road around the bottom of the Mews.
"Be sure to stay clear of Torpin Marsh," Rook cautioned.
I am certain Sidira will ensure our cause is true. I have little desire to encounter anything in that forsaken place.
Sidira punched and hugged Pollard.
Take care of this big lummox.
Rook smiled. "No worries there. I'll be hard-pressed to get my own blows in before he deals with whatever is foolish enough to come against us." Alhina stepped up to the big man, offering his hand, afraid of what was to come as a result. Pollard gave him a half-hearted smile, grabbed his hand, and pulled him in for an excruciating embrace. Alhina feared his ribs would crack, but there was nothing to do until the giant released him. Thankfully, Sidira intervened.
Easy, you big oaf. You're going to suffocate Alhina.
Alhina turned to clutch Rook's hand.
You take great care, my friend. You have been through a lot in the last while. We all have, but you especially. We need you strong.
He looked around at the devastation.
I fear this is only the beginning.
Thank you, Alhina, for everything. If not for you, Slurian might never have been found.
I don't believe I did him any favors.
Alhina whispered. Nonsense. You gave him back his life, even if it was only for a short while. You gave him a chance to be whole again. I'm sure he appreciated what you did for him. I know. I do. Sidira interrupted and gave Rook a hug and peck on the cheek.
Take good care of yourself, Bowman. I hope our paths cross again.
You too, Sidira. I rest assured knowing my friend, he nodded to Helena, is in excellent hands. Good luck keeping up with him. Sidira laughed and turned to Yarstaff. The muscular boy was almost as tall as her shoulders. His big eyes looked shyly at the ground, but Omar's hand propelled him forward with such force that Sidira had to catch the odd creature to keep him from knocking her over. Go on, ye ugly beastie. 'Tis only a wee lassie. You needn't be afeard. Yarstaff untangled himself and looked away. Sidira glanced at Omar.
Is he always this quiet?
Omar guffawed. Ha! Hardly, missy. Shy about the lasses, I be thinking, ye beastie. Yarstaff proffered an orange furred hand to Sidira. Sidira kissed Yarstaff's furry forehead.
If that big lummox gives you any guff, bite his knee.
Yarstaff lifted his eyes long enough to peer at her, the tiniest of smiles lighting up his face. Beside them, Olmar accepted Pollard's meaty handshake and pulled him into a quick embrace, and then held the song's birthing guard at arm's length. Despite Adric's kidding, ye are even bigger than me. You listen to what I's telling ya. Pollard forced a semblance of a smile past the trembling bottom lip. Alhina went to grab his rucksack from beside the well, but Pollard snatched him off his feet, tears running freely down his cheeks.
I'm sorry, Alina. I tried to save him. I tried so hard.
His words became unintelligible. Alhina shushed him.
There was nothing anyone could have done. Only Silurian was strong enough to enter the river. You allowed him to do that, what had to be done. If you had not kept the demons off his back, we would all be dead. He chose his fate. He would not have had it any other way. Your bravery gave him the time he needed to fulfill an insatiable desire that had eaten at him for 20 years. There is no blame for what happened. Events went way beyond our control.
Sidira came to Alhina's rescue again, prying the big man away from him and holding Pollard until he got himself under control. And then there's a wee chapter break here. As the two groups parted ways, Sidira, Olmar, and Helena followed the Madrigal River southeast along Milford Road, while Rook, Pollard, and Yarstaff disappeared into the ruined city along a debris-strewn road that would lead them to where the West Castle Road branched away. The group's parting was one of the saddest events Alhina had ever witnessed. An utterly dejected Pollard dragged his feet along the ash-covered ground, shoulders slumped and head hung low. It had taken the senseless death in the fork to finally crack Pollard's shell. Alhina sighed. Moving forward, it was for the best, but he hated leaving his friend in such a state. Sidira placed one arm around Alhina's shoulder and the other halfway around Olmar's waist, propelling them forward.
Come on, old man. I think this is the point where you start imparting to us your ancient wisdoms. You know, how things were different back in your day, how our generation doesn't appreciate the value of hard work and respect and all that crap.
Alhina shot her a look. Olmar's throaty laugh disturbed the unnatural stillness in the fork. Aye, Pops, tell us a story. Together, the bizarre trio started along the Milford Road. A young female archer clad in gray, a giant bandy-legged sailor whose girth was twice that of the other two combined, and an old man who looked like a wizard.
That was great. That was a lot of fun.
So, Dave, you need to wear that costume at the next event.
Yeah.
That is absolutely amazing, especially if you know someone that you know is coming towards your booth.
Oh, my God.
Just slip it on, and they'll come to your booth kind of looking for you, and you just kind of sit back in the back like this. That'd be hilarious.
That would be way too funny.
And actually, you gave me an idea. I'm at the Waterloo Medieval Fair next week. Maybe I'll do that. I will wear this, and that hopefully they won't even know who I am. You be looking for that wannabe writer?
That could be pretty funny. You should record it.
Yeah, it will. Yeah, it will be. Actually, I'm going to do that. That'll be good. And Christy, I really loved how you kept flipping back and forth. I didn't realize you actually had that costume until I looked up, and then I'm thinking, on my screen you're very small. I got you in the so I can see the text there.
There's only one way.
I hope you didn't ruin your voice, Christy.
What'd you say? Ruin my voice. Oh my God, I know. I can feel it.
I'm set up now. I mean, it's like I could play George Custer, God,
yes, Moses,
yes.
Alhina, yeah, Gandalf,
yeah. I was thinking of Gandalf.
Dumbledore.
Yeah, go to your Hollywood auditions with that outfit, and I'm sure they'll have roles for you.
Anyway, I'm gonna get out. This is very hot.
I can imagine.
So is this.
You have to, Richard. Did you have to cut like a place for your mouth?
I did trim it, so you can notice it's straight across. There was a slot there, but it was so long it was getting in my mouth. I was spitting out last time I wore it. Yeah, it's not too bad now, but it's just a cheap little beard I bought. So
yeah.
Yeah, it's not a lot of quality there. Oh,
Fantastic.
Dave's back.
Who's that?
I
Who
don't
is
know.
that?
Well, it's about time he showed up. Jeez, we've been going an hour and 5 minutes, and finally Dave decided to show up.
I know. I just couldn't be bothered.
You missed it. Santa was here and he was giving out gifts.
I got a brand new Corvette
Good for you.
with a engine starter and everything that I didn't have to replace myself. Anyway, so that's it. We've really gone over our time today, but that's fine. Thank you, Christy and Dave, for making that read very enjoyable. I always love the story with Elhina and Omar, and Sadir as well. So even though people always ask me what's my best book, I always say it's the one on my computer. But what's my favorite book? It'll always be the Sulfurd Saga, because that's the one that's sat with me for 35 years. So even though I don't think there is written as well, and there were a couple of mistakes you saw in the narrative there that I didn't read, obviously the mistakes, but that's because I was trying to shorten it for us. I took bits and pieces out. So if you see those mistakes in there, those aren't actually in the book. So
yeah. I've done that.
Christy's editing mind's going, oh, he's got a mistake. And I was thinking the same thing. And I kind of condensed it a wee bit just to get the whole thing in there, because I wanted to get that scene right to the point where Sadir and Omar are mocking Elhina at the very end as they go for a walk. But
yeah, this is sad they're parting of ways, but I'm sure they'll meet up again, or I hope. Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you.
No, no spoilers.
So next October 12th, we're going to have Canadian debutante author, actually not debutante anymore. She's actually, I think her next book will be coming out between now or her second book will be coming out between now and airtime. So we're going to welcome Paige Taylor. And she is someone who reached out to me a few years ago to do a talk with the Muskoka Writers Group. And since then, I've formed a friendship with a few of the Muskoka writers. And people probably don't know where Muskoka is. Obviously, Dave is 5 hours north of me, 6 hours depending on Toronto traffic. But Muskoka is probably halfway, maybe a little bit more closer to Dave than me with Toronto in the way. I'm not sure, but it's about halfway. So it's up by Bracebridge. She lives in Bracebridge, Dave, so you'll know where that is.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Sorry,
You're not used to having hair, yeah. I know.
No, it's like I've
still
got hair stuck to me all over. It's like I'm pulling clumps of white hair.
Your wife's going to take
ears.
one look at you when you go to bed tonight. She's going, who you been with? Some blondie.
No, bingo.
Anyway, so we're going to be reading an excerpt from Paige Taylor's book, and we're also going to be reading an excerpt from Christy Stratos. And Christy hasn't told me what she's reading yet, but we will find out when we get there. So it's we like the mystery. I'm just going to go through a couple more chats here. Great reading chat as always. Thank you, Hillary. And those emojis are very small. I hope she's not flipping as the bird. Oh, thumbs up. Okay, good.
Yeah, I was confused. I mean, I was like,
yeah.
What is the difference? I can't tell.
She's a little cheeky, yeah. And Louise, and Louise Spilsbury, and she is a
great
science fiction author. She's got some awesome stuff out there. So look her up too if you're into futuristic science fiction. She's a very near future, which is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. So Louise always supports Dave and I, and I think she came out and saw you at the Eden Mills Writers Festival, did she not?
Yes, we were talking at the festival and whatever it is. She had a little doggies with her.
Yeah. I think they rescued dogs from the Caribbean. Her husband's a notorious scuba diver. He's always scuba diving around the world, so especially in the Caribbean. So they bring dogs back and they look after them. They're rescue dogs.
So nice.
It's really cool. Yeah. So anyway, so I guess we'll wrap it up. If you guys have anything else that you want to say before we go.
No, I'm just looking forward to the next time. A month. I have to wait a month.
Hot cakes from. There we go. Yeah,
that's the type of dog apparently.
Yeah, just because it's legal in Canada now, that's not what she's talking about. They're actually a type of dog. Yeah, that's not an edible. That's right. Okay, so thank you everyone for tuning in. People that stuck around, that's great. We had you for over an hour, which is a lot longer than we generally do. So thank you for your patience, and I hope you enjoyed the story. And the telling from Dave and Christy was awesome. So thank you guys for making my story shine. I appreciate it.
Oh, loved reading it. Loved it.
Yeah, it was fun.
So until we meet again, everybody, take good care.
Good night.